Hi, and welcome to the Diamond Report for Wednesday, April 12th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. I've got us looking at Earthquake 3D, the last 48 hours worth of earthquakes globally. On Monday's earthquake update, I mentioned we would see an earthquake in southern Peru. And we have, in fact, seen that now. That has happened. It is a magnitude 4.6. It's the one here with the blue ring in the center. And this is it right here, that little flag. And I just wanted to show you that. Also, off the coast of Oregon, we have now seen a magnitude 4.2 quake happen, which is decent size. That will translate to further movement, though. Coming from that quake, it will transfer from west to east across the interior edge of the North American craton, which runs from the northwest down here through Texas and goes right up here through the boot heel of Missouri, and then curves back down and then goes right up the eastern seaboard. So we'll see quakes now in that region as a result of this 4.2 out here off the coast of Oregon. So that's something that we'll need to watch for in the coming few days. And also, we were watching a swarm that had been developing in the Philippines. Now it seems like the swarm is kind of split in two. We've got a swarm to the north and west, where we had them stacked here in the middle before, primarily in southern Philippines. Now it's kind of divided roughly in half between the northern and the southern area. So that's kind of interesting. We'll just need to watch that. And then the other developments are just that we've seen further quakes out here near Fiji that are deep, and those will translate to larger, shallower movement over the next few days. And the rest of this region, especially around southern Indonesia, has again kind of quieted off. That happened a few days ago too. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. That's likely where the next movement's going to happen. And with that, we'll move on to the headlines. Is a massive false flag being planned to launch World War III? America is going to have a mess on their hands. Warning goes out. Is the deep state willing to sacrifice the lives of every living person they've ever known to depose Assad? And Steve says, yes, 5.5 billion. I think when you look at that and also look at the Deagle website, I think there's something to that. This particular article is on allnewspipeline.com. The weaponization of social media. Takeover of global digital infrastructure. That's on thelastgreatstand.com. From the Daily Mail, will nuke you. North Korea state media warns of a nuclear strike if provoked as U.S. warships approach. President Trump says we are sending an armada very powerful, including submarines, to North Korea. It's on the Gateway Pundit. Syrian gas attack, chlorine or sarin? That's a YouTube video. A multi-level analysis of the U.S. cruise missile attack on Syria and its consequences. That's on thesaker.is. Grand goal is war. Gregory Mannarino. It does not matter who's in the White House. The U.S. military is the enforcement arm of the Federal Reserve. Wars are engineered, and they are going to decide how much blood will be spilled. That is so true. That's on USA Watchdog with Greg Hunter. Japanese and U.S. navies plan joint show of force toward North Korea. The insanity factor is maxing out. We're going to fight 2 wars with the military destroyed by Obama? That's on USDefenseWatch.com. Retail collapse. The 23 biggest chains closing stores this year. Steve says, all because Wall Street embarked on the destruction of Main Street and the middle class. That's on NJ.com. The Great Inception, Part 11, The Mystery of Inanna, patron goddess of Nimrod. And Steve says, when you understand the past, you are equipped to spot the greatest deception in history. Even the one world church will declare aliens created mankind. Yep, that's where we're headed. That's on skywatchtv.com. The real dangers behind the Syrian crisis are economic. Russia and China openly and avidly support the International Monetary Fund and continue to call for the IMF to take over global management of all monetary policy to form a single world currency system. That's on alt-market.com. That sounds an awful lot like the beast system to me, or at least the beginnings of the beast system. I mentioned this yesterday on InfoWars. Fireball spotted off California coast during unusual Navy anti-sub patrol. Was it a missile test? Fireball near where numerous low-flying sub-hunting aircraft circled ocean. Series of 11 strong earthquakes hits the Philippines. Hundreds of smaller quakes, fear of the big one. Magnitude 5.8, 5.7, and 9 other strong quakes hit the Philippines on April 11th. Note, 370 earthquakes have started swarming in El Salvador in Central America. That's on strangesounds.org. I just mentioned that in the earthquake update about the Philippines. And if you looked closely before I scrolled around to where the Philippines are, you probably saw that in Central America there was a swarm there as well. I didn't mention it. It's not really that unusual. You usually will have a swarm like that. And that a swarm is not a sign that a larger quake is coming. A swarm is releasing the pressure in a group of smaller quakes that one large quake would release. So you could have, 10 magnitude 4s swarming out. That would be the equivalent of a magnitude 5. So a swarm is okay for the most part. It doesn't necessarily mean a larger one's coming, is what I'm saying. Why does Bible prophecy matter? As a Christian, why should you spend any time studying it? It's sad to say, but many Christians, including many church leaders, say Bible prophecy doesn't matter. That's on prophecynewswatch.com. I think the main reason for that is that so many people in the Western church really buy into the pre-trib rapture theory. And they really think that they're not going to be around, so they don't have to worry about knowing any of it because they're going to get zapped out of here when Jesus determines that it's time to remove all of the believers. And I don't think that's biblical at all. And I would say that, if anything, the opposite is true. We're going to be here through a big chunk of the tribulation. So we need to be prepared for it, and we need to know what Bible prophecy is. I think that's important. Poas volcano in Costa Rica evacuated. Strong eruptions at Nevados de Chilén in Chile. An Agua volcano in Guatemala on fire. So more volcanoes erupting. It's on strangesounds.org. The Illuminati goal of abolishing private property. Reborn in globalism. That's on activistpost.com. Big Brobot. U.S. Navy funds development of robot surveillance system which can spy on humans in incredible detail. Research chiefs want to harness the power of machines to build a snooping network that's a single entity with many eyes. That's on thesun.co.uk. Wrath of the Sun, Florida under siege by 100 wildfires. It's on Sputnik News. Yeah, again, for more on wildfires, visit Dane Wigington's website, geoengineeringwatch.org. He talks about that often, how wildfires are created partially because of the incendiary dust that these geoengineering planes are spraying all over everything, everywhere. Creates more of a situation where things can catch on fire very easily. It's all dried out. Sweden's largest newspaper demands ban men in cars to stop terror. During the collapse, Know Your Enemy Part 1, The Unprepared Neighbor. And Steve says, I recommend giving Holly Deo's book, Dare to Prepare, to your neighbors. It's cheap life assurance, yours, for the days ahead. What did the ancients see? Unidentified flying objects that made an impact on early history. That's on ancient-origins.net. From Singularity Hub, Science Neuroscience. This is the dawn of brain tech, but how far can it go? Steve says all the way to humanity's total destruction. Yep, I'm afraid so. Antarctica documentary reveals black projects and climate engineering. It's on chemtrailsplanet.net. NASA's MAVEN reveals Mars has metal in its atmosphere. ScienceDaily.com. Yeah, so does Earth. We have metal in our atmosphere too, because all of these geoengineering plants are spraying millions and millions of tons of it every single day. Aluminum. From naturalnews.com, 28 nuclear reactors in the U.S. could suddenly fail due to earthquakes. Most are located along the East Coast. Bruce/Caitlyn Jenner reveals she's had gender reassignment surgery in new memoir. You can cut off whatever body part you want and change your pronouns, but it doesn't change your DNA. That's something to remember for these people that are transgender folks. They can want to be a man or want to be a woman, but they'll never be able to change their DNA to a female DNA or a male DNA. The church is not ready for what's coming up on the earth. Will you be? That's a YouTube video. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Brutal viral United Airline video shows that everything under federal jurisdiction is ripe for abuse. That's on All News Pipeline. Russian nuclear-capable bombers fly near Japan, U.S. officials say. That's from Fox News. South African genocide, called microcosm of what's coming to America, or at least what the globalists hope is coming, to what remains of the Christian West. That's on WND.com. Japan scrambles fighter jets to head off 6 Russian bombers, flying towards its airspace amid rising tensions in region, following Trump's war of words with North Korea. That's on the Daily Mail. Absolutely sick. South Dakota police force a catheter into handcuffed suspect for a drug test. Steve says this is so freaking barbaric and off the charts, the cops should be ashamed of themselves for traumatizing this 3-year-old child. That's on shtfplan.com. They all have blood on their hands. Fake news establishment media complicit in protecting murderers, rapists, and terrorists. That's on All News Pipeline. It is 1929 and 1941 at the same time. There are those people who want to be left alone, and there are those who just won't leave them alone. That's from Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show. And then always prescient from thedailycrow.com, Days of Noah. Tebow, Rainbows, Noah, and Jared. Steve says a very important read. Yes, everything Matt Peterson puts together is phenomenal. Another CERN, synchrotron light in the Middle East. Construction near Amman, Jordan, whose members are Bahrain, Cyprus, Egypt, Israel, Iran, Jordan, Pakistan, and the Palestinian Authority, and Turkey. Steve says, remember the cartoons, Open Sesame. Yes. Now, the main CERN is, of course, in Switzerland, and that was constructed over what many believe is the pit as referred to in Revelation. But there are several CERNs around the planet, yes, and others being built. Hope for millions. Russian scientists invent nanoparticles that kill cancer. That's on Sputnik News. Well, we're already all breathing in nanoparticles from what they're spraying with the ongoing climate engineering programs, and that would be contributing to cancer. So I can't imagine how these, quote, nanoparticles that kill cancer could actually be a good thing, but there you go. And then speaking of which, from Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show, chemtrails are exponentially increasing. Why? Well, it's because the more they spray, the more they have to spray. The more they geoengineer, the more they have to geoengineer. Go to Dane Wigington's website, geoengineeringwatch.org. That will explain a lot of what's going on. John McCain, Secretary of State of the Deep State. Has he gotten to Trump? That's on SputnikNews.com. I'm sorry, we'll fix this. United CEO issues apology to passenger and everyone else. That's on Zero Hedge. The price of gold spikes as investors get spooked by talk of World War III and nuclear conflict. That's by Michael Snyder of the Economic Collapse blog. From the Daily Mail, beware taking on Kim's death cult. A preemptive strike by Trump or Jong-un could turn the Korean Peninsula into a sea of flames. Trump unexpectedly calls China's president to discuss North Korea. That's on Zero Hedge. Putin warns trust between U.S. and Russia has collapsed under Trump as Tillerson gets frigid reception. U.S. deploys nuclear sniffer plane to Japan as North Korea tensions come to a boil. Millennials are abandoning the post-war engines of growth, suburbs and autos. It's on Zero Hedge. Russia slams absurd Trump demands, warns Tillerson, don't strike Syria again. Then U.S. strike on Syria, Trump merely shooting from the hip like Wild West sheriff. That's from Sputnik News. Kim Jong-un's secret weapon, North Korea preparing underwater nuclear attack. That's from The Express. Assad not mad enough to carry out a chemical attack, says George Galloway. That's on RT. Breaking, China puts troops on nationwide high alert over North Korea. Google searches for World War III hit the highest peak ever. Border Patrol Union President rips Paul Ryan for delaying funding on border wall. That's on the Gateway Pundit. Notre Dame snowflakes protest VP Pence as commencement speaker because it makes them feel unsafe. From InfoWars, Attorney General Sessions to illegal aliens says, the border is not open, do not come. And from Millie Weaver of Infowars.com, rescuing children of the night from pedophile traffickers. Just in time for World War III, Ahmadinejad reappears to make a run for president of Iran. Former Hillary Clinton employee arrested on treason charges. She is the first of many corrupt Clinton-era State Department employees. Let's hope that's true. Trump says guilty Hillary was saved by the FBI head. That's Steve Watson from PrisonPlanet.com. Then on the Free Thought Project, UN peacekeepers caught running massive child sex ring. Not one person jailed. No wonder they want to take us to war. They want this whole pedophile sex ring thing to go away. From naturalnews.com, EMP Commission chairman confirms that a nuclear EMP attack could kill 90% of the U.S. population. The Illuminati goal of abolishing private property, reborn in globalism. That's from John Rappaport on activistpost.com. U.S. about to be blindsided by multiple wars and simultaneous economic collapse. It's on thelastgreatstand.com. Everything you need to know about geoengineering, facts, documents, and patents. It's a video. It's on thedailycoin.org. Again, for more on geoengineering, go to the world's best resource, geoengineeringwatch.org. United Airlines barred from Russian airspace for diplomatic reasons. Pilot announces. That's on the Daily Caller. Trump threatens Bannon with ultimatum over Kushner rift. Straighten it out or I will. North Korea tells foreign journalists to prepare for a big event on Thursday. That's on Zero Hedge. An InfoWars exclusive, Michael Savage begs Trump to stop World War III. All the never-Trumpers are now saluting him. North Korea threatens to nuke U.S. task force. Can we stop World War III? More neocon falsehoods to justify war. The destiny of humanity, the stars or destruction. Will humanity live prosperously or be completely destroyed? Major Swedish newspaper calls for ban on cars to fight terrorism. From the Hill, Trump says we're not going into Syria. From Paul Joseph Watson, source, military strike on North Korea coming soon. From Sputnik News, Russia's faith in the U.S. has waned since Trump's inauguration. That's from Putin. Professor says to save American democracy, Trump must hang. But of course, we don't have a democracy. From RT.com, Israeli defense chief wouldn't be surprised if somebody assassinates the Iranian president. And to lighten things up just a little bit, the funniest headline of the day, Hubble just spotted something massive coming out of Uranus. Then from Leanne McAdoo, she says, hey Trump, it's World War III, not 3 world wars. War, neocon agenda we've seen before. Familiar rhetoric being spread by U.S. media and politicians. It's what they do best, isn't it? Lying mainstream media tries to paint patriots as Russian agents. And a liberal says Tomahawk missiles are offensive to Native Americans. Never mind how many people they actually kill. And from HeatStreet.com, illegal immigrant jailed for attempted rape awarded $33,500 compensation. Okay, that's all for today's Diamond Report. Thanks so much for listening and watching. If you would, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for further updates, and I'll see you tomorrow.